People have been asking in the comments to find a good two-person up front tactic for these tactic talks, and honestly, I just haven't found any in the Steam Workshop lately. Well, I found one. We're gonna check it out. We'll see how it works. Going straight into the tactic, as you can see, this is called the 3-5-2, the Juggernaut. It is a sweeper keeper in attack. People are loving the sweeper keeper in attack lately. Ball playing defenders as stoppers on the left and right, and then a libero in support centrally, a wingback on the left in attack, a complete wingback in support on the right, a deep lying playmaker in defend in central spot, Mazzala in attack, and then all the way up front we have a target forward in attack, and then a trequartista in attack up front. It is a very attacking mentality, so I'm not expecting great things with very attacking mentalities right off the bat, especially when you're used the entire season throughout a sim. Again, the Steam Workshop really has nothing on this one except a screenshot. So no instructions, no play very attacking until you concede your first or until you get in your first or second, and then you let it off a little. So we've gone very attacking this entire time. Yeah, that's going to do well. In possession, fairly narrow attacking with approach plays, pass into space, overlap in the left and right, and play out of defense. Slightly more direct passing directness. Tempo is much higher, never time waste. I don't know why that's red. Run at defense, be more expressive with mixed crosses. In transition, we've got counter press, counter, distribute to center backs, and roll it out. And then out of possession, mid-block line of engagement, standard defensive line, trigger press much more often, get stuck in, step up more, and trap inside. And no opposition instructions whatsoever. As you can see, like I said, it did not work very well, especially for Wolves. Newcastle actually raised a little, although you would expect them to find them there in a regular playthrough. Tottenham definitely went down a bit, but Wolves relegated handily with only 20 points. Tottenham with 52, Newcastle with 63. So again, Newcastle actually didn't do too badly. Tottenham didn't do well, and Wolves just, whew, that's not good at all. So starting off with the top in the table, Newcastle's schedule looks really nice through August. The first Liverpool match, definitely not so much, but coming right back against Crystal Palace and continuing on, but then it gets just bad. A couple of wins here and there through the rest of the first half of the season. Starting out with a draw against Arsenal and Brentford, a fantastic January there, continuing on in the Cups, losing out in the FA Cup fourth round replay to Liverpool 1-2. Definitely the bogey team this season. They did lose out to Burnley in the EFL Cup third round right there. So only the Prem to play for. And actually they didn't do too badly. They finished off February nicely. Not a great March, but only 3 matches. Starting off April, not great against Manchester United, but 6-3 over Nottingham Forest, 1-0 over Tottenham. And just continuing on till Everton, losing to and then beating Wolves 6-3 in the end. Tottenham, just spotty everywhere you look. Starting out with a nice win against Everton, 2-1, losing to Man City, losing to Leicester, but then picking it up again against Brentford and Bournemouth. But then just a weird September, ins and outs, and then a bunch of draws in October. I mean, at least you're getting a point, but still, Fulham, Champions League, Fenerbahce you should have won, losing to Fenerbahce. Bayern you win 3-2, but you lose to Fenerbahce. That seems odd to me. Champions League, Sporting though you're in. EFL Cup third round, the second half of the season you're still continuing, and it continues to be spotty. You were pushed to Europa Leagues with that. Feyenoord just dropped you out there, 3-all at home, 2-5 away from home. Not great. Fantastic March. You get to the quarters of the FA Cup. Let's see, did you lose out in the EFL Cup? Yes. EFL Cup quarterfinals, 3-4 against Southampton. Not fantastic. I mean, you get to the quarters, I guess. Semifinals, you win against Manchester United, and you lose out to Manchester City in extra time, 3-4 in the FA Cup final. As I always say, hey, you got to a final. And you got to the quarters of the FA Cup. Europa League, not so great. But overall, not a great second half of the season. You do have a fantastic March, but that's about it. And there's not going to be a lot said about Wolves right now. You do win out in the EFL Cup second round, and the third round. You lose out to Leicester 1-5 in the fourth round. FA Cup, you're continuing on until you lose to Fulham 1-4. But man, look at all that red. There's a couple of greens scattered about, a couple of draws scattered about, but overall, absolutely woeful, just dreadful. Transfer-wise for Newcastle, you can see a couple of the similar boys that we've seen. Donny van de Beek, as we've seen before. Kai Kennedy, we've seen. Victor Nelson from Galatasaray. I don't remember if we've seen him before. His name sounds familiar, but Sugawara from AZ. I don't remember what AZ is. Alkmaar. Yep, Alkmaar. I apologize. Oscar Aranda from Real Madrid Castilla, which I believe is the second level Real Madrid. And then Facundo Farias from Cologne. Nobody out except loans that we haven't seen before. Tottenham have a couple of ones. Shutala we've seen from Dynamo Zagreb. Weston from Rangers I don't think we've seen. And Brian Cristante from Roma we haven't seen. And then Augustin Guiai from San Lorenzo we haven't seen, or at least I don't remember seeing. Fagan Walcott out as usual. Lucas Moura out for $7 million to West Ham. And then Wolves, the only one in we've seen before, Miguel Velosa for $325K. Not too bad. Huang He Chan to Lyon for 2.6 is the only out. Lembikisa for 975. We've seen that before. As you can see from the data hub, analysis of our attacking and defensive performance indicate that we are generally okay defensively and good in attack. So as you can see, they do have an overall positive set of attacking features. Couple of negatives here and there: passing percentage, dribbles per game, what is that? Fouls against per game. So overall, attacking is better. Defensive, not great. The only one is interceptions per game and then tackles attempted per game, but the tackling percentage is right on par with the average for the league. So the summary for Tottenham actually says that defensively they were good, but only okay in attack. And as you can see, the positives in attack are very minor here, but the negatives, the dribbles per game, definitely the passing percentage, not great. The team defending, tackles again, and interceptions per game are the positives. A little bit more or a little bit less for the blocks per game, still in the positive, but everything else is just well below the league average. And then Wolves, you get Wolves. Attack and defensive performance indicate that we are poor in defense and very weak in attack. They may have broken the league average on shots on target, but that's it. Everything else is just well below. Team defending, tackles per game, interceptions per game, blocks per game, and then clearances per game tackles are well above the average. Everything else, not so much. And then the top half, wow, just piss poor. Stats-wise, though, you do have Newcastle in fourth with 76 goals, most in the league. Tottenham in eighth with 61. Fewest shots, nobody. Most dribbles, fewest conceded, nobody. Fewest shutouts, nobody. Most tackles, one. There you go. Wolves, 924. Newcastle's 865 and Tottenham's 844. So very defensive tactic, even though you get a very attacking mentality. I guess going very attacking, you seriously need to do a lot of work on your defensive side. Best pass completion, most shots for Newcastle with 557 and most points per game. Newcastle in eighth anyway. So most goals, Isaac with 32. That's one of the higher totals we've seen for him. Son with 21 for Tottenham. Kane with 20. Pretty much bang on average for Kane, at least. Son prinking up a bit. Most assists, Trippier with 13. Pedro Porro with 10. Most player of the match awards, Isaac with 11. Newcastle is the only one. I'm surprised Haaland hasn't gotten up there a little bit better. Most dribbles per made, Nelson Semedo with Wolves 133. Fewest conceded, nobody. Most shutouts, nobody. Allison there with 22. There you go. Most tackles, though, Joe Willock for Newcastle and Pablo Sarabia with Wolves. Nelson Semedo with Wolves in there as well. So, as you would expect, pretty much. Most key passes, Trippier, always up there. Alexander Isaac with most shots, as with Son, 104 to 132. Erling Haaland with 199. Still low for him, though. And as always, we finish out with the actual stats in all competitions. Alexander Isaac with the top goal scorer award for 34 goals. Isaac 747 highest average rating. Fantastic for him. Trippier with 15 assists overall. And then Isaac with 12 player of the match awards. Tottenham, Harry Kane with 34. So a little higher than average for him. Kane with 734 highest average rating. Pedro Porro with 12 assists. And then Harry Kane with 8 player of the match awards. And as we finish out with Wolves, Sarabia is not in here for the highest average rating or most assists. That's interesting to see. Nunez is usually highest average rating, 683 for Raul Jimenez. Wow, that's awful. 18 goals for Cunha is definitely on the low side, but they sit dead last. I'm not expecting much at all. Most assists for Ait Nouri, 10 assists. That's actually not too bad for all things considered, pretty much. And then most player of the match awards, only 2 for Ait Nori, and that is it. Again, this tactic just did not work for Wolves whatsoever. Tottenham, you can kind of see little glimpses of hope, but really it just didn't work in all in the end. Newcastle, it can work. You can probably make it a little bit better, especially a lot of the draws that you've seen. Some of the low level losses, by 1 goal or so. If you're any good at the game, if you're doing the shouts, if you're motivating your team a bit better, then you can probably pick up a couple more wins, get into these European spots. But Newcastle at 63 points, that's not too bad, I guess. But overall, I don't think this tactic did all that well. We've definitely seen better. So anyway, that is it for me, Saffing FM for the Football Manager blog channel, saying thank you as always for watching. Take care and enjoy.